Seo Joo-Heon and his friends were surrounded by a lot of monsters around him. Seo Joo-Heon had realized everything if he had been tricked into entering this tomb on purpose by someone, and Wade had also prepared himself to watch the movements of Seo Joo-Heon. Seo Joo-Heon also asked Julian to check using his relic, and sure enough he could feel the aura of Wade there. Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that Wade would use his relic in this way to spy on him, and sure enough he could feel the aura of Wade there. Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that Wade would use his relic in this way to spy on his movements. Seo Joo-Heon assured Julian that he was not working with Wade or the Union team. Julian also believed the words of Seo Joo-Heon, but they had to solve the problem in front of their eyes. Seo Joo-Heon agreed with that. After that, he warned not to get attacked or touch them even a little because it would cause them to get the disease. The monster immediately attacked Seo Joo-Heon and his friends. The fight ensued. Seo Joo-Heon and his friends had prepared their relics and powers respectively, and foolishly Yoo Ji-ha sucked them into the Van Gogh without knowing how to defeat them all later. But Seo Joo-Heon did not mind it because they had to survive now. But Seo Joo-Heon was surprised when he saw the monster's body back to normal. Seo Joo-Heon also asked Julian for a relic. Without asking for it, Seo Joo-Heon threw Julian's relic and blew it up. Seo Joo-Heon said that he would fix it later. Seo Joo-Heon also ordered them to destroy all the monsters with the relic they had because later he could repair the relic, and with that Seo Joo-Heon moved back and cut down all the monsters in front of him, and several explosions occurred behind him, killing all the monsters that were there with his explosion. Seo Joo-Heon was happy that his plan was successful this time. After all the monsters were destroyed, Seo Ah collected the relics that could still be repaired, and Seo Joo-Heon asked Seo Ah to take them all. The relic was called Dr. Jon Snow's route map of infectious disease, and it seems that Julian also found another relic, and that made Seo Joo-Heon happy. The relic was called the Epic of Gilgamesh, a bag containing all kinds of diseases made by the god of disease, Namta. But Julian could not give the relic to Seo Joo-Heon because he did not want Seo Joo-Heon to misuse this dangerous relic. Seo Joo-Heon did not understand why Julian did not want to give him the relic. Seo Ah also defended Seo Joo-Heon because she wouldn't do that kind of thing. But Seo Ah coughed and blood came out of her mouth. Soon Yoo Ji-ha also experienced the same thing. The notification window said that Seo Joo-Heon's immunity had increased. Seo Joo-Heon realized something if they had been attacked now, but they had eliminated all the monsters. Seo Joo-Heon also felt that the air was contaminated, and with that Seo Joo-Heon took out her house relic to bring them all in and take cover. But Seo Joo-Heon did not come in and said that she had to fix this problem. Seo Ah was worried when she saw Seo Joo-Heon would go alone to solve this problem. After that, Seo Joo-Heon went away from the house to find the source of the problem this time. Seo Joo-Heon also challenged the relic that had made the poisonous gas, and the relic praised Seo Joo-Heon because he had managed to realize it. But Seo Joo-Heon rejected the relic's idea, saying that his body would be destroyed because he would first destroy the relic. After that, Seo Joo-Heon spread a lot of relics on the floor and prepared to explode them. But the relic doubted that Seo Joo-Heon would sacrifice himself for the sake of his friends with the big explosion he would make. Of course, Seo Joo-Heon would not do that after successfully spreading the relics. Seo Joo-Heon activated his shield relic and blew up the room. The relic was surprised when Seo Joo-Heon was about to use the Aegis relic to protect himself, and immediately a large explosion occurred from the relic that Seo Joo-Heon had spread before. Those inside the house also felt the effects of the explosion. The Aegis relic protested and asked Seo Joo-Heon to kill him. Seo Joo-Heon accepted the request, and he exploded the Aegis relic in his hand and made a bigger explosion occur. after the effects of the explosion slowly disappeared. Seo came out of the house to check on the state of Seo Joo-Heon. But it seems that Seo Joo-Heon did not completely blow up the Aegis relic, seeing Seo, who was behind him. Seo Joo-Heon also asked them to leave because everything was safe now, while in his hand was the relic legend of Hippocrates' miasma. Seo Joo-Heon explained that at that time in Europe all its citizens believed that the bad air they breathed was the cause of the diseases they experienced, and miasma was related to the bad air. And after it was discovered that the real cause was viruses and bacteria, miasma was forgotten. This relic is what makes them all sick now. Seo Joo-Heon also said that the monsters they defeated before were just a distraction and made them all contaminated by this relic. Seo Joo-Heon was sure if they were all infected now, but Seo Joo-Heon didn't want them to worry about that because he brought some fruits that he took from the elixir plant that would work as medicine when they ate it. Seo Joo-Heon gave them all the fruits and told them to eat it. Julian was grateful and he obeyed Seo Joo-Heon's order to feed Ujiha beside him. Seo Joo-Heon also said that he would take the relic that was previously in the hands of Julian. Julian, who saw his relic being stolen, was angry at Seo Joo-Heon and said that the bag had all kinds of dangerous pathogens in it, and asked Seo Joo-Heon not to release it into the free air. But Seo Joo-Heon would not do that because she had a plan in her head now. Julian and all of them were confused by what Seo Joo-Heon meant, and suddenly Seo Joo-Heon opened the relic containing the disease that made them all surprised and panicked. Everyone there panicked when they saw Seo Joo-Heon drinking the bottle containing the disease. They were all surprised to see Seo Joo-Heon, who drank the poison relic. Seo was very worried about Seo Joo-Heon now. After successfully consuming all the liquid, Seo Joo-Heon's body contracted violently. Various notification windows appeared saying that Seo Joo-Heon's immunity increased drastically. Then a light emanated from his body and Seo Joo-Heon was very happy to see that. A special relic appeared because Seo Joo-Heon had drunk all the liquid. Then a light emanated from his body and Seo Joo-Heon was very happy to see that. A special relic appeared because Seo Joo-Heon had drunk all the poison bottles. The relic appeared in front of his eyes and introduced himself as the god of plague, a messenger from the queen of the afterlife. Seo Joo-Heon then appointed himself as the one who met the qualifications of the god. As soon as the god looked at Seo Joo-Heon, he could feel all the pathogens from all over the world that were in the body of Seo Joo-Heon. The god wanted to make a contract with Seo Joo-Heon until the end of Seo Joo-Heon's life, and after fulfilling his conditions, the god made a contract that was successfully obtained by Seo Joo-Heon. The god was named Namta, a god of disease from Mesopotamian mythology. He had 60 diseases in his body, and served the goddess of the afterlife named Ereshkigal, and because he was a god of disease, his relic had a strange condition for use that required the user to have a lot of pathogens in his body. And if a person walked around this room, then that person would fulfill the condition, but his body would be in a critical condition, and then this god would make a contract just before the person died. But Seo Joo-Heon was happy because he was not in a critical condition, which meant he could use the relic for his entire life. Seo also asked about the relic that Seo Joo-Heon had just obtained, and Seo Joo-Heon explained that the relic was a relic that ruled this tomb. But Julian did not believe because Seo Joo-Heon had just drunk a very dangerous relic. Seo Joo-Heon said that what he drank before was a substitute relic for the original relic he got now. Julian was surprised when he knew how dangerous the relic was, but Seo Joo-Heon did not mind it. But Julian did not want the very dangerous relic to appear in this world. Seo Joo-Heon replied lazily, and he agreed with Julian's words. But seeing Seo Joo-Heon, who casually accepted that fact, made Julian surprised. Seo Joo-Heon also said that he would not do anything bad with the world where he lived. Seo Joo-Heon also said to Julian if he would use this relic for the first and last time and would destroy it later. Julian was curious about who Seo Joo-Heon would use the relic, but Seo Joo-Heon just smiled creepily. Meanwhile, on the other side of the tomb, Wade and his subordinates have gathered there. They are all waiting for Seo Joo-Heon and his friends to come out of this tomb, but they also expect if Seo Joo-Heon is dead now. Wade also told his subordinates to check ahead and find out the situation, but Wade heard a rumbling sound in the tomb. They thought that the tomb would collapse, but suddenly a wave of water that looked very dirty moved to wash them all away. All of them who were there could only run away from the water. Seo Joo-Heon still used the relic of the god of disease to hunt down those who tried to escape. And a water mixed with cholera plague brought them all drifting deeper and deeper into the tomb. They all screamed for help as they were exposed to a deadly fatal disease coming from the water. The water continued to carry them further and further until they arrived in a large room. Wade and several other people were filled with water mixed with the plague. Some of Wade's people were seen vomiting blood from their mouths. Not only that, they all slowly began to feel the disease that spread throughout their bodies. Even Wade could not survive the disease when his hands began to be affected by the water before. After that, Wade shouted, not wanting to accept his fate like this. Meanwhile, with Seo Joo-Heon and his team still gathered, Yoo Ji-ha confirmed whether Seo Joo-Heon would really destroy the relic or not, but Seo Joo-Heon just smiled and would destroy it. Hearing that, Julian was a little touched and apologized for having misunderstood Seo Joo-Heon all this time. Julian didn't think that Seo Joo-Heon was the one who would destroy the relic for the sake of mankind, but Seo Joo-Heon didn't want Julian to worry too much about it, and Seo Joo-Heon also asked them to step back because he would blow it up soon. And with that, Seo Joo-Heon exploded the relic in front of Julian and created a very large explosion, making the tomb immediately collapsed. Seo Joo-Heon also invited them to leave with himself, who would guide them using his skills so that they could get out safely. After a while, they had all made it out of the tomb, and Julian also said that he would part with them now, and Seo Joo-Heon agreed to it. Yoo Ji-ha seemed to regret that Julian did not come with them, but Seo Joo-Heon did not mind it because they had decided it beforehand. Because if they went together, it would only cause unnecessary arguments. But Julian, who had fully trusted Seo Joo-Heon, decided to help Seo Joo-Heon whenever she needed it. Seo Joo-Heon laughed a little when Julian was fully willing to do what was written in the contract they had previously made. Julian did it because he felt Seo Joo-Heon was a good person. And after that, they separated and promised to meet again on another occasion, and Seo Joo-Heon decided to leave. When Yoo Ji-ha asked where they were going, he was surprised to find out that Seo Joo-Heon would go to the tomb and retrieve the relic that he had previously destroyed. Yoo Ji-ha could not believe that Seo Joo-Heon had planned all this. Yoo Ji-ha was angry because he thought that Seo Joo-Heon would destroy the relic that could threaten the safety of the world, but in fact he would take back the relic. Seo Joo-Heon only said that he only made sure that the relic was safe with him, because he could use the relic to play with Pandora and CEO Kwon. But Yoo Ji-ha still did not accept it because previously Seo Joo-Heon had promised Julian. Seo Joo-Heon, without feeling guilty, did not think about a promise he had made. And Seo Joo-Heon forced Yoo Ji-ha to follow him, and after successfully collecting all the relic fragments destroyed by Seo Joo-Heon before, Yoo Ji-ha was ordered to repair the relic later. At a resort on the beach, Jin Chae-won was seen swimming leisurely in the pool of his inn, But Jin Chai-won's calm was disturbed when he heard a noise that entered his sense of hearing. Jin Chai-won got up from his position to see someone who had disturbed his quiet time. The person who disturbed her at this time was Wade Harmon, who seemed to have survived after he went through everything that happened in the tomb before. Jin Chai-won, who saw Wade, slowly walked over to Wade, who was being held by his guards. She did not expect if Wade was still alive now. Although Wade looks very pitiful now, but Wade asked Jin Chai-won to help him now. He asked for the relic medicine that Jin Chai-won had, and it seemed that Jin Chai-won was not interested in helping Wade now. He thought that Wade was too dramatic when Jin Chai-won knew that Seo Joo-Heon drank all the poison into his body and was still normal. Wade also defended himself and did not want to be equated with a monster like Seo Joo-Heon. But Wade had done his job by leading Seo Joo-Heon into the trap that Jin Chai-won had prepared in the tomb. And then Wade also blamed Jin Chai-won because he failed to defeat Seo Joo-Heon and asked him to take responsibility. Jin Chai-won didn't want to bring it up, and Seo Joo-Heon entered the tomb by Seo Joo-Heon's own will, not because Wade had led her in, but Wade had completed his task no matter what, and he demanded the Hitler relic from Jin Chai-won. And Wade also asked for relic medicine from Jin Chai-won along with the Hitler relic according to the agreement. But Jin Chai-won did not care about the agreement because he had changed his mind. After that, Jin Chai-won used his power to attack Wade. Wade, who could not move, could only surrender, and with one command from Jin Chai-won, Wade's body slowly disintegrated due to his power. After Wade was completely dead, Jin Chai-won looked disgustedly at the corpse, and why Wade wanted the Hitler relic when Wade's gobble relic had been stolen by Seo Joo-Heon before. Jin Chai-won also ordered his guards to get rid of Wade's corpse. Jin Chai-won returned to scrolling through his cell phone screen and looking for a contact who might help him. But Jin Chai-won thought back and he had the idea to meet directly with Seo Joo-Heon now. Meanwhile, in New York, there was an angry voice from Julian when he found out that Seo Joo-Heon was going to auction the relic that he had previously obtained from the Tomb of Plague. Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that Julian would know the news so quickly. He thought that Julian would only deal with bad people and not interfere with his business. But Seo Joo-Heon asked Julian not to worry because he did not intend to auction something dangerous like that, because Seo Joo-Heon would only auction relics related to romance disease. Julian did not believe that there was such a relic in the Tomb of Plague, but Seo Joo-Heon assured him that romance disease was also a dangerous plague. Seo Joo-Heon also said that she would take good care of the relic of the plague. Julian had no choice but to entrust everything to Seo Joo-Heon now. Right after the phone was turned off, Seo called Seo Joo-Heon and said that the preparations for the auction had gone perfectly and the auction would be held soon. Seo Joo-Heon smiled because now was the time for her to get a lot of money. As the host was seen wooing the audience with the relic, the audience started to auction it off, and Seo Joo-Heon saw that she was very happy and she was waiting for the price to go up. Yoo Ji-ha had an idea to make a healing elixir and sell it, but Seo Joo-Heon said that it was very troublesome to do. Yoo Ji-ha suggested that Seo Joo-Heon leave it to someone else while Seo seemed to be looking at something else. As the audience continued to auction off the price of the relic sold by Seo Joo-Heon, and someone raised his hand and wanted to pay $80 million for the relic that was auctioned there. And upon seeing that person, who turned out to be Irene, all of them who were present gave up because they knew that they would not win against Irene. And the Casanova perfume was bought by Irene at a very high price. While the three of them who saw Irene buy it were shocked, Yoo Ji-ha immediately teased Seo Joo-Heon, and it made Seo Joo-Heon embarrassed. And because Yoo Ji-ha kept teasing Seo Joo-Heon, hit him hard. Meanwhile, Seo, who saw their conversation, became worried about Seo Joo-Heon's relationship with Irene. Seo Joo-Heon threatened Yoo Ji-ha not to play with her anymore, while Seo-Ah whispered to Yoo Ji-ha to come closer to her. Yoo Ji-ha, who was called, asked why Seo-Ah called him. Then embarrassedly, Seo-Ah asked about the relationship between Seo Joo-Heon and Irene to Yoo Ji-ha. Although Yoo Ji-ha was not sure if they had dated, but Yoo Ji-ha was sure if they had done some things. Yoo Ji-ha thought that the possibility of them dating was just a matter of time. Then, Yoo Ji-ha seemed to flinch as he began to realize why Seo-Ah was asking about Seo Joo-Heon's relationship with him, not wanting to get caught. Seo-Ah embarrassedly shouted that it wasn't what Yoo Ji-ha thought, and it managed to make Yoo Ji-ha surprised because of Seo-Ah, who suddenly shouted. Seo-Ah also threatened Yoo Ji-ha if he was not like what she thought, and after that, Seo-Ah ran away from Yoo Ji-ha quickly. Yoo Ji-ha understood what was meant by Seo-Ah, who shyly asked about the relationship of Seo Joo-Heon and Irene. Seo-Ah was still thinking about Seo Joo-Heon's previous words that said if everything happened in the past then it happened, because now everything is different. Seo-Ah remembered Seo Joo-Heon's words that said if she would not force Seo-Ah to remain loyal to her and let Seo-Ah, who wanted to choose her own path. Seo-Ah became disappointed, and her heart was sad when she remembered Seo Joo-Heon's words at that time. Seo-Ah sat limply leaning against the wall with tears running down her cheeks. Seo-Ah didn't know what she should do now. What would Seo-Ah do? And would Seo Joo-Heon do anything about this?